Welcome back, everybody, to Hoot Loot. This show, which is on February 12th, 2022, is called the Federal Reserve's Impossible Dilemma. They can't raise rates, they can't not raise rates. So, we're going to tell you why that's a problem. But this is the place to come to be amused, informed, but never misled. We're going to give you the real truth, and you're just going to hate these politicians once again. But anyway, if you would be so kind as to like and subscribe right down here, we'll be right back in just a second. Welcome back. We're going to show you now the first chart, which is nominal versus real interest rates versus inflation. Okay, now this is very important because what do we talk about? Inflation, real rates, blah, 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 blah. But this shows you what actually happens and where we are in the cycle. If you look at it right now, we are at the lowest point in negative real interest rates we have been in 50 years. 50 years ago was the Bretton Woods Agreement, where the dollar went off the gold standard and gold proceeded to go up from $35 to about $800 in a decade. Well, guess what? It looks like the same thing's happening again. And I'm going to show you that not only this negative real interest rates, which doesn't occur very often at this size, okay? It doesn't. I mean, look at that. It only occurred twice in 50 years. Now, this shows you here the correlation to gold. It doesn't go back 50 years, but the correlation to gold is very high, okay? And that's why we're going to talk about something positive today, make you feel good. Positive gold. We're going to talk about gold and the opportunities therein. You can make some money back, and we promised you that we were going to help you walk out of this alive. And buying some of these early shares, and you're going to see why, is going to help you do it, because there's a whole lot of money made in gold and a whole bunch of money to be lost. And I'm sorry to say it, some of that other crap that you guys have been buying. But this is a good thing right here, a bull market waiting to happen, and we're going to talk all about it. Now, first of all, we're going to go to the Canaries in the coal mine, as I call them. This is Bitcoin 5 years. You're going to see it again, but just to show you, it's it's bounced up a little bit and it's come back a little bit. So again, I don't make much of it unless it goes much higher, but they go up on some reason or another. You just don't know what. You have no idea what. And I know that the miners had to shut down for a little while because the power grid. Speaking of the power grid, Tesla and electrical vehicles, which are not only polluting, as we call them, they're not really polluting. The pollution only occurs at the utility plant. It doesn't occur at the car plant, at the car, because the car doesn't pollute, but the utility plant pollutes to create the energy to get to the car. Now, I want to know something. If electricity is so incredible, why Elon, the Teflon Musk, or Elon the Felon, why don't you use electricity on your rocket ships? Well, I'll tell you why. Because each time energy is converted, it loses something. So a car, okay, it's better off just putting the gas in and burning it one time. It's really much better. And the fact that you're using it to travel is kind of proof of it. And all that you proclaim it, this incredible business. But when it comes right down to it, you're not going to Mars. We all know that, except you and a few other people. All right. Well, I'm not gonna beat you up too much, because Tesla has remained above a 5-year trend, and it still is relatively strong on the EV front. Although the EV front is constrained by the lack of electricity, which is now going up in price, and there's going to be a lot of that coming up, and there's going to be a bottleneck to how many cars can be made, used, and then how long it will take to fill one up because they're maybe waiting in queues and things like that. So without going into too much, this is ARK Innovation, all the cool and hip stocks, all the ones that everybody has to have. And, you're underwater for the most part, bounced a little bit as we thought it might, we thought it might, after all, it has come down so much. But if you've heard somebody say, oh yeah, I'm an ARK, chances are high, they haven't made it. They're underwater and they're just trying, they won't even talk about it. Okay, and I still get people on Instagram. Oh, I make money $8,000 a day, and all that kind of stuff. Oh my God, and I say to them, I always ask them, well, what about the management? What do you think? What do you think about the management? Yeah, whatever. All right, and Renaissance IPO, which is kind of like ARK Management, and all the buyers there are underwater. It had a little bit of a bounce, but it's coming back down. It closed at the low. It's low of the week on the week, so that one's coming down too. The Dow Jones Industrials are still sort of in their bear flag pattern. Look how long it is, though. I mean, it's like almost a year. But it briefly went through it, came back up, bounced a little bit. Now it had a hell of a bad day on a Friday, and so one wonders, will it bounce again or what will happen? It really is an unknown right now, and I wouldn't do anything right here right now. But if it doesn't, if it starts to bounce from here, and you want to take a short position in it, you have not too much risk and a lot of reward because this thing could go down a long way. NASDAQ 100, we would ring the bell ding ding again, but I know that you don't want to hear the bell ding ding. Well, let me see. Do you not want to hear the bell ding ding? I want to hear it. Yeah, I like the bell ding ding. Okay, well anyway, ding ding, and it was right. And you're seeing a little bit of a bounce, and the NASDAQ had a terrible day on Friday, came back down, and notice that the volume is a lot higher on the decline than on the advance. So, again, there's a chance that rallies from here, but I kind of doubt it. I really kind of doubt it. So ding 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 ding. Okay, and the S&P also gets a ding ding. I won't bother you with the ding ding because don't do it at home. Don't do it in front of your parents and say ding 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 ding. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't do that at school. Don't get your friends to do it. Okay, whatever you do not do that. They will not like that. Okay, promise me. All right, good. All right, so Standard & Poor's 500, a lot of big capitalization. Ding ding. Okay, what? It's going down. Sorry. All right. S&P small cap, that one is holding up pretty well, which tells me that we still have the potential for a little more advancement in the market before the ultimate crescendo. So the ultimate crescendo might be the next Fed meeting, March 16th. Or around there, which is also near an equinox, which is also near, that is when those kind of events happen. We'll get into that some other time but right now the market still does not feel like it's going straight down from here. I don't think so, but we'll see. I don't think so. All I can say is I'm glad that I'm not in that, and you will learn about something that you can be in that. And I'm going to show you a couple ideas, okay, in that regard, just coming up in a minute. Dow Jones Transportation also looks not too good, and I would say that they did kind of show a little bit of a and then show a little bit of So the Dow Jones Transportation does not look good, and you want the number of goods are being bought and they're being sold. Goods being bought are being transported by somebody, and they pretty much all are. Okay, so you want the transportation to be somewhat of a indicator that would be positive rather than negative. Okay, if it tends to go down, that's no good. Okay, that's not good. Not good. Okay. Now, because of all of the federal mismanagement of our country, and I want to sort of mention that one of those funny things is that we have crossed $30 trillion of national debt, and that the debt averages about 1.4%. Okay, all right, get that? 1.4%. So 1.4% is pretty low by historical standards. As a matter of fact, quite low. Okay. Now, what if the cost of the servicing of the debt actually went up to say 4%, something like that? Do you know how much our national debt would go up? Oh, I wouldn't be too good. 4%. I mean, it's not unheard of. It certainly has happened in the past. Well, 4% would make it pretty much up there with Social Security and Medicare and above the military. And military, I'm sure would want to spend every bit to be number 3 again. So it would probably cost us even more than that. But the point is, here's some things that you can say. You can show your protest to that horrible mismanagement of government. And we've got them. We'll have them in T-shirts and we'll have them in masks very soon. I want to just show you those. Okay, vote out all the incumbents, make America laugh again. That's our motto, at least for now. And this is Hooter, the Hoot Entertainment mascot. Okay, all right. Enough with that. Now back to the real news. Okay, sorry. Okay, this is Bitcoin again. 5 years. This is what we showed you before. It's looking pretty good, but it is not really looking, honestly, like you would have likely bought this at the time where you would be making money right here. Okay, yeah, it bounces. Yeah, it doesn't bounce, but it's come down all the way to 30,000 or very close to it. And a lot of people, sure, some people bought it, made money in it, but the people that have tried to trade it, the people that have, people that claim, I just bought Bitcoin. It's so great, and I'm a Bitcoin miner, and all that kind of stuff. Oh, come on, give me a break. The thing's down. Enough of that. I mean, I'm not that big of an idiot, and I don't know what's up. Okay, next. Oh, I went too far. Okay, here's Ethereum right here, which looks like Bitcoin, and Ethereum also bounced a little bit, and it's had quite a bit of volatility. But you look at this, yeah, you probably would have made money in this no matter what. So Ethereum has actually been probably a better investment. How many people have bought it? How many people bought it at the right time? I don't know. I don't know if those volume numbers are correct because those are kind of made up, and depending on the exchange and all that. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't think there's really no one has ever actually said, hey, that'll cost you 2 Ethereum. Or something like that. Yeah, I've never actually known how or for what it would be used. So I have no way of knowing what the hell, how good it is of an investment or what. This is not an investment, but I have no idea. No one's ever asked me for an Ethereum. I don't know. Maybe you can use an Ethereum somewhere, but you can't use them. I sure as hell don't travel in those circles. Anyway, nor some of the other ones I'm going to show you, like Bitcoin Cash. Which has had a nice little rally this week where it has gone up like 10% off of a very low base. But here's another one. No one's ever said, hey, by the way, we only accept Bitcoin Cash. Litecoin too. That'll cost you 5 Litecoin. Okay, sure. And there's another one, Riot Blockchain. This is part of the firm that voluntarily suspended its operations in Texas, so that the power grid did not get to use a capacity or something dangerously close to capacity. When it comes right down to it, they probably were very happy to shut down for a few minutes and not have to incur all those costs. But look at that. You just can't say that this is the future right here because it hasn't made any money. It doesn't. It's had sort of bubbles, but it hasn't really actually trended higher and made more money. And here's Ripple. The Ripple is another one. It's a token, and I really don't understand why this would go up and down in price so much. The token does the same thing for you as it does for me. Okay. In other words, I can facilitate an international transaction as much as you. And so why would I pay $3.2 for it back in 2018 and now pay only 60 cents? I don't get it. I just don't get it. But anyway, platinum is one of those precious metals that is looking pretty good. And I've got to say right now that we have the ring with a smile bell right here. This is for good things, and good things we're going to show you right now coming up pretty soon. Gold 5 years weekly. Look at that pattern. It broke out of a triangle, and it appears to have broken out. I'll say that sometimes there have been false breakouts, but it looks really good. Several of the stocks do, and we're going to show you those. Everything is lined up. Everything is lined up finally for gold. Silver's in a cup and handle. It right at support. It hit support, and this should be fairly. They should have a fairly good move on the upside. Okay, that's all I got to say. It should have a fairly good move on the upside. It right here, it's a little. It has a long way to go, but on the other hand, the silver miners are starting to look like they're breaking out. So something good's happening, and they are telling us that silver is on the way up. All right, the U.S. dollars also is it had a little bit of a bounce, but isn't it interesting that gold was up almost $30 on Friday, and the U.S. dollar was up? Part of that was on Ukraine-Russian tensions, okay, and the anticipation thereof. But nonetheless, the news follows the trend doesn't follow the news, and the fact of the matter is gold is heading higher. That may be a catalyst, or it may not. It may be that it's factored into the price of gold, and it may be announced over the weekend, and it could go down, but it's going higher. That's the point. It's going higher. All right, and the U.S. dollar isn't exactly hurting it, because U.S. dollar will has to go down at some point, I think. But as long as the Bank of England raises its rates, so who knows? Maybe the euros and the Bank of Japan are getting a little more fiscally restrained. Okay, these are some of my favorites that have broken out that look really, really good. Yamana Gold, and this stock has had a nice little flag, and look at that. It broke out on Friday, and it's just looks superb. If you look at Barrick Gold, which is the largest gold producer and one of the lowest cost producers, this one broke out too. Okay, it looks really good. It looks really, really good. And Barrick Weekly, we show you weekly, it's broken out too. So you have pretty much of a situation where all of a sudden this looks really, really good. And I don't want to pound the table too much, because that's kind of the kiss of death. But right now they're looking pretty good. Keep my fingers crossed. Looking good. Okay. Wheat and Precious Metals. This is another great company which hasn't quite broken out, but looks like it's right about to. And this one, the pattern is just beautiful. I mean, I can't find a better pattern than that. It's an incredible pattern. This is a great company. This has been dead money for 2 years. This is going higher. So I believe. So I hope I'm right, but I think so. Dorado Gold, last but not least, I'm going to show you what it looks like from different perspectives. Okay, now this is Dorado Daily, and Dorado Daily has broken out from a declining trend line. It just broke out to $10.03. Very good. Let's buy some Dorado. Yeah, but how high can it go? I mean, what's the potential for it? Do you want to hold it to 12 and get out? Hold it up to 12? I don't know. But actually, here's Dorado 20 years monthly. Look how high it could go. I mean, look how high it could go, potentially. Dorado could go to sensational heights and over the long run. And so you have to kind of factor in pulling back the microscope, and not looking at it too closely, and kind of looking at it as a long-run investment. It could be a long-run investment, but I've learned one thing about myself: I get too stressed to invest for too long. So so Dorado looks really good. I like that pattern for the long run. Now this one is an oddball. Treasury inflation-protected securities ought to be telling us something about inflation expectations, and they've broken down from a rising top. So, I'm a little perplexed by that, but this is the only sign that I see that doesn't look good, because if I go to the 0 to 5 year tips called STIP, it looks actually pretty good. It went up on Friday, so who knows? I think maybe longer-term inflation expectations are lower, and short-term are higher. Okay, I can go over that. The CRB index, hard to argue with that one, boys. It's a lot higher, and it is screaming higher. That says inflation, 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 inflation. Sorry, Jay Powell, inflation, inflation, inflation. Yes, I know you can't raise rates. I'm sorry about that. I'd love to be, I'd love to be a flea on the wall, but I can't imagine what you got to discuss. Oh, I can't raise rates. Biden's gonna be so pissed at me, and Kamala Harris wants me to raise them a little bit. Oh, can you imagine that? Ugh. All right, 3-month T-bills. These are actually not 3-month T-bills like what you would think. The reason they're so high is because these are second run, off the run T-bills. Okay, a newly issued T-bill will yield very little, like zero or whatever. These are T-bills that are not as liquid, not as recent. They could have been 10-year bonds that now have 3 months left. So they traded a discount. They traded a slight discount, and the yield difference is magnified. It still is interesting, though, that they trade with this high of a yield. I really, I'll look into that more, because that one's really interesting. Okay, 5-year yields have gone up quite a bit. Practically 1%, 100 basis points in 6 months. No inflation. Sorry. 1.8%. Are you kidding me? Jeez, and they're still too low. They're still too low. They're still way too low. Way too low. Okay. Oops. Too far. 10-year Treasury yields have broken out, looking like they're going to go up, but still 2%. Are you kidding me? 2%? Jeez. Okay. Well, anyway, they are going up, and thank God that they yield 10%, so that those of us about to enter the Social Security system can be very happy with the returns on our trust fund. I am so happy to have a Social Security trust fund that buys 10-year Treasury bonds at 2%. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much, as Elvis would say. All right. Okay, so let's go to 30 years Treasuries, and they broke it out too. But strangely enough, not very high, and they haven't made a new high. And, this is what we call the flattening of the curve, where, 5-year or 2-year or other short-term bills go up in yield, and the longer term go down in yield. And that usually is not something good for banks and other financial institutions who borrow on the short end, and then they lend on the long end. So they want to see a steepened yield curve, and in the past it has been a phenomenally good predictor of future economic problems. And so Jay Powell can't raise rates, really, can he? So he really can't raise rates, but he's got to raise rates because we have inflation. What's he going to do? What is he going to do? I don't know, but we all know. We will tell you next time for sure. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide here. Apfel is actually looking pretty good, but had good earnings report, and this is a big company which does just about everything. Apple is, Apple's still looking pretty good, actually. So this is probably the one stock that's looking pretty good, but it's an important one, okay? It's an important one. Amazon, this is an example of a company that falls into earnings and then rallies on earnings, or falls into news and rallies on news. Just like we could see, the news being Ukraine, Russia invasion, whatever, and gold falls on that news, okay, because it's already rallied quite a bit on Friday. So we shall see. Hard to predict. Meta platforms. Oh God, I don't even want to talk about it, except for the fact that it had a hell of a little dive a couple weeks ago, and it's just not looking too good. Sorry, Mark, but things aren't looking too good. And there's practically everybody is suing him. Practically everybody. Ugh, I just don't know what to say other than everybody's suing him. Yay. Okay, here's Google. Now, Google has had a 20-for-1 stock split, okay? And it's about to, my speculation is it did it to enter the Dow. And the Dow, the reason it would enter the Dow under those pretenses is you don't see in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you don't see high priced issues in the Dow. The Dow is a price weighted issue. So you add up all the prices of all the companies, you divide by a number, and you get the Dow. So if you can't put in like a $3,000 company because it would have too much importance in the Dow. And companies are encouraged before entering the Dow. 150 is about the target. This is about where Google is going to go. Stock splits don't matter economically, but for this reason, I think it's actually going to go down. Now, the other thing that's interesting is that Google, that news may have been factored in, and it's possibly completing around the top here. And this one carries a lot of weight, whether it has a stock split or not, whether it's in the Dow or not. This is a major company and one that needs to be followed, okay? Microsoft also making what looks like could be a rounded top. Good earnings, and this one is in a negative pattern. So, just about everything but Apple, not looking too good. Not too good at all. All right, Netflix. Yay. This is the worst show I've ever seen one. Netflix, there isn't even a gone good enough to give them. But I will find one that's good enough to get Netflix. Okay, Netflix, look at that. Just yuck is all I gotta say. Not a good pattern at all. Nvidia, very important to the chip business, and I like Nvidia chips. I have Nvidia chips, but it's going down. I don't know why. There's a chip shortage everywhere, and you're telling me they can't pass on higher prices? The chip shortage? I don't know. Something weird is going on here, but maybe it just got way too overvalued because this thing was almost $1 trillion at one point. $1 trillion, jeez. I don't even have $1 trillion. I mean, almost $1 trillion, but not exactly $1 trillion. I mean, unless you count my Mad magazine collection, then maybe it's $1 trillion. But most people wouldn't count that. Okay, the big bank index looks like it's curling over. Okay, and it's curling over largely because the yield curve is steepening, and we're seeing that happen here. Financial companies are not really pulling the market higher like they were a while ago. The broker dealer index briefly broke out. I have no idea why they would do that, but then they came reversing down. We'll see what happens. I still keep wondering about SpaceX. They don't get electric motors on SpaceX, and I don't know. I'll talk about that some other time. Goldman Sachs, which is a very important company, looks like it's completing around its top. Okay, this is an important company, so we'll see what happens here. But this is a long-standing pattern, and it's likely to be breaking down, and it's a big component of the down. So JP Morgan, just the same, long pattern of going nowhere, dead money. And if this is an important company, Dow component, this thing could be completing around the top. They had a terrible earnings report, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? But the point is, these guys are going down, I think. All right, American Express. I don't know how to explain this, other than the fact that people want to use American Express cards at the very few places that they can go, unrestricted. But this is in what we call a megaphone pattern. Looks like a megaphone. And it's usually a topping pattern, okay? It's usually a topping pattern. So we'll keep an eye on it. But, this one, I don't know what to say about it. I really don't. Wish we had a bell, sort of a neutral bell. I could just say ding, 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 and that'd be neutral. But anyway, Mastercard, another one which is in a neutral pattern, okay? Now, this one has shown some signs of life. It's shown some signs of breaking down. It showed some incredible volatility. I have no idea where this thing is going, other than the fact that you have to look at retail, which we're going to do in a minute, and retail kind of gives you a clue, and it's not good news either. Good news was at the front of the program. All that gold stuff. I hope you're still watching because we have some neat stuff to tell you. But the good news was the gold. Okay, this is Visa right here. It's making a top, that's below its top, and it's been in a 5-year sort of parabolic move, and this may be coming down too. All right, Costco. It bounced. We'll see if it makes a lower low. If it does, that's not good at all. It looks like it's going to. I have a feeling it's going to. So we'll keep an eye on it. But none of the retailers look particularly good. Oops. Target, that doesn't look so good either. It's actually made lower lows. It's made a double top. They've announced performance numbers that were not great. They're blaming it on, inflation. So they're giving people less bang for their buck. Okay. So, but the point is, this is no longer the place to be. Home Depot, we talked about this a million times, and Home Depot is also breaking down. It broke down from a rounded top, and it's not looking good. It's just not looking good. That's all I can say. Not looking good. Okay, and Walmart, even Walmart, which has held up really well. Walmart shoppers really have hung in there. But let me tell you something, it's broken down too. And it's broken down from a long pattern. It may not go anywhere. So this is an important company. It's a Dow component. And, attention Walmart shoppers, stock may not be doing too well. FedEx, which is one of the two main companies which ships goods. Okay, that's why it's here. It's important. And FedEx is forming a huge rounded top, and it looked like it might be bouncing, but no, it's not bouncing. It did bounce a little bit, but it just that's the weakest bounce I could imagine. So that's telling you that this company, that there's a little bit of a sign that all is not well, and hate to say it. And even UPS, which last week looked like it was screaming, it had gone, up, had gapped higher on good earnings. Well, apparently there wasn't enough enthusiasm to hold it up there because it's come back down and it doesn't look so good. And we'll be keeping an eye on that. But UPS, all of a sudden, just did a 180. And this market is prone to that. One of the reasons to be very careful here. The Airline Index is another economically important one, and doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Big oil looks great. I mean, I would be recommending oil stocks, but they're overvalued. They broke out long ago. Mea culpa. But they are looking good. There will be a point to enter them sometime. Maybe not right now, but big oil is looking very good, very inflationary. Home builders, look at that. There's an economic sign that just says, copper. And I know I showed you lumber last week, and it's just gone up and it's gone down. It's all over the place. But the main problem is it's too expensive to buy a home, and rates are going up. Well, shouldn't they go a lot higher? I don't think home building is going to do very well, and it looks like it's going to break through that support, and it's on its way down. Okay, now even some of the bright spots recently. McDonald's looked like it was doing well. It's not doing well. It's about to go, which I never do because I love McDonald's. Okay, Proctor Gamble. That was one of the few stocks that was really holding up there. And darn, if you wouldn't know it, it's making a rounded top too. There are many stocks that are making new highs right now. It's just not looking good. And, you've got to be cautious. Take your money off the table. Take a look at some of these, gold and silver miners that we talked about. And, like and subscribe so you don't miss a single show, okay? We love you for it. We're getting lots of subscribers in, And if you'd like and subscribe, we'd appreciate it. Be informed, be amused, never be misled, and also come back next time.